Okay guys, stay tuned. I'm going to show you how I created this file and how we layered the vinyl and made this neat tote bag. Also remember to check my description. There's links to friends I like to help support, and there's a link to the Facebook group, and if you're a member of my Facebook group, you get this file for free. Guys. So we're going to show you how I make the bag today, and this is just an idea I got off of actually Facebook. Some company or something was trying to sell bags or a t-shirt. Like, well, I could duplicate that pretty easily. So this is the project I made up, and if you're a member of my Facebook group, Daniel's Crafts, the file will be in there later today. This is the 17th of March 2020, but I wanted to go over you kind of how I designed it. It's very simple. It really was not hard at all. So here's the black layer, which will be all the text practically. Okay, and so we'll weed all this out. And the next layer is going to be the red for the fire. And when I weed this, I'm going to take out these center here of this roll, because I'm going to show you why. So that lines up like that. And then this one is going to cut again. I really only want those 3 strips right there. And we're going to put those in there for being like a brownish, goldish color. Whatever color I have close. Might be a silver or gray. Just so you can fill in that roll there. It looks a little more real and natural. And I like to cut everything away so then you're not really layering too much of the vinyl, because layering vinyl, you can do it. But if you get too many layers, it's going to peel a lot faster. It's not going to stick well. So that's why I like to try to splice things out. And do it that way. So first we'll go with how to curve text. I know a lot of people seem to, don't know how to do that. So let's do it. Insert text. Okay. So what you want to do is go ahead and curve the text to what you want it to curve to. So I did mine, this is how you do it. You can do it up this way, you can do it down. I did it not too severe, probably like that. Okay, so after we curve it, because first you want to curve. And another thing I'm sure a lot of people here notice using Design Space, whenever you change the font to like some kind of crazy font, it really messes with the spacing, so you got to learn how to do that. So first you got to curve. Because after you mess with the spacing, it won't let you curve it anymore. So curve first to what kind of curve you want. And then the text we used was this ITC Blaze. So we'll search that font. Okay, and right there it is. So we didn't change it, but see how it does that weird, like really big spacing. I don't like that. So you can either do it this way if you don't need much adjustment. You can do that with the letter spacing one, which did it pretty good. But if you want to be really specific here, what you have to do is go to Advanced and ungroup the letters. And then you got to drag them in and put them together a little closer, just so it looks better. But you don't have to be, it does not have to be perfect, by no means. There we go. And then you got to regroup it all. Oh, didn't want to get all that. And then go over here to attach. Or you can just group it. It's whatever you want to do. Actually, you do need to attach it, so when you cut it, it won't be apart. So yes, you need to attach. Sorry. And there you go. And then you can blow it up to however big you need it to be or whatever. So that's one way to do it. So that's that. I'm going to take this out. So that's how you curve text. There's a couple ways you can do it, or not a couple ways to do it, but there's a couple ways to do the spacing. Now slicing. So I'd gone online and just did a search for flames, and then I uploaded the image to right here. And then I wanted to splice so I don't have layers, remember, of vinyl, because I like to try to keep everything on the same, so everything's sticking to the fibers. So what I done here was take your, send the flames to the back. Or you just click on them and hit send to back. I just kind of put this like that. Actually, it's a little too big still. So let's bring it down a little bit for size. Or actually, what I should have done, show you a little easier way here is make them the same size as this flame. There we go. Very close. So now, so I size the flame first. Then you want to take your toilet paper roll here, and then I just did this around it and hit a line, center it, and it's still a little too high. I don't like it that high. But you get the idea what I'm trying to do, though. You do things that, you know, to your liking. Eyeball it the best you can here. And then all you do, because you only do slice through 2 images, so it'll only be 2 images. Hit your slice tool right here. Now, you have this piece like that. And what I done to keep this piece here, to make it back to 1, I lined it back up as close as possible, selected it all, and then weld it, and it'll make it back to 1 piece. And there you go. And everything will be ready to go back inside of the piece here. See? Lines up really good. So that's how you do that. It's very simple. You know, don't be intimidated by, you know, trying to make projects. This only took me like 15, 20 minutes when I first did it. So the biggest, hardest thing to me really when it comes to designing projects, especially ones with sayings or words, is trying to find the right font. There's so many fonts to go through. And so that's really the biggest challenge in my eyes, to try and get things to look right. Because it really is all about the font look and size and everything. So I'm going to take all this stuff back out. Actually, I don't want to save none of this, so we won't save it. Let's go back to new. So don't save. Hit replace. Okay, so that's how you guys do that. Now we're going to get the machine to cut it, and I'm going to show you how we layer each layer and line them all up. All right. We apply it. I forgot to show you guys. I always like to try to remind people in my videos. Always remember to mirror your projects. Don't know how many times I have had to restart over and ruined, you know, heat transfers and stuff, because I forgot to mirror. So just don't forget to do that. And then also too on your settings here, it should pop up here in a second. All right, so it connected. We just use the regular old everyday iron-on. And make sure you use the fine point blade. And you can always turn on fast mode if you want to. So, and one more thing too I want to show you before we go is the heat guide. I always try to put this in my description, the link to this heat guide, and make sure you bookmark it so you can use it for future reference and it's easier to get to. So for our heat guide, we're going to be using the Easy Press 2. The material is going to be Everyday Iron-On Light, and the material is actually going to be a tote bag. And we're going to be using the mat. So you click all that and hit apply, and it's going to give you the temperature and the seconds for your Easy Press. And preheat for 5 seconds, meaning that you need to, you know, heat the material up, put it on there, and it says cool peel, which I don't know if anybody's been noticing this, but I almost always do all of my iron-on with a cool peel. It just seems to be better, because like I mentioned in past videos, whenever it's still hot, like a warm peel or whatever, when you're lifting up, you know, that stuff is a little sticky, so it's still pulling at the vinyl whenever it's still warm, so it can actually loosen it from the fibers, I feel. So I almost always do cool peel on everything. Like the foil, I know a lot of the foil says warm peel. I have found it works much better cool. So I pretty much do cool peels on every bit of my heat transfers. All right, guys, now we're going to show you how we weed and assemble it all. All right. All right. So I like to watch people weed, so I hope you guys do too. That's why I put this in my videos. Of course, I always speed it up to make it, you know, go faster. Real quick though, if you're doing this project from my file, don't forget on this little piece, we're only keeping the 3 middle slits there, if you guys can kind of see that. On this piece though, we're going to take those 3 out. So you'll see me weed those out of there. All right, but we'll start with the big one and move on, okay? Okay, so they're all weeded, and like I said earlier in my video, remember how I told you cool peel has always been best, even when it says warm, is because, you know, look at this. It's still pretty sticky. So when you're peeling this off when it's still warm, that is pulling at the actual vinyl from the fiber. So that's why I really always just do a cool peel. I think it works best because, you know, this is still pretty sticky, so it's pulling at it. All right, guys, so now we're going to get our table ready, and we'll get the canvas bag ready to go, and we'll show you how to layer it all and put it all on. All right, you guys, so I have my easy press mat down here. As you can see, I have the tote bag already on here. So I like to press, especially when there's creases like this, go ahead and press this down a little bit. And also we're pre-warming our material like we're supposed to. All right, and also too, we set it for 315 and 30 seconds. It's still warming up here. That's the perfect time to go ahead and try to press down your item here and get it all warm. Now, as you already probably know, any material, you should always use this first. But then if it's a t-shirt or something, it's best to really wash it first. To the shrinking, you know, the shirt's going to shrink. It'll happen before you put the vinyl on. But this we're rarely going to wash, so I think we'll be fine. It's going to be a grocery bag. You know, another thing I would recommend you guys buy if you don't have is get a little, you know, kitchen timer. That'll be great too whenever you're using the little mini press, because they don't have a countdown timer. It's great for that. All right, as you can see here, that's why it's important to use this, to get all those loose fibers off there. So I think this is good. Okay. So let's warm it back up again. We just got to 315 here. About 5 seconds it says to do this. If you follow the heat guide instructions, you'll almost always be successful at your projects. I'm not saying things can't still happen, but it's pretty rare. Okay, so the first one is the big one. And try to get it centered. This is always a part I hate the most because I'm not that great at it. Okay. So set our easy press down on it. And start the timer. I like to add just light pressure, mainly just the weight of my hand. All right, now we're going to lift it and let this cool. I'll speed this part up. Okay guys, I already see some spots here that's not down all the way, so I'm going to flip it over and press from the back. Cricut also recommends to do this too. And also too, a warning, see the discoloration? That's normal. It will disappear as it cools down. You also can fan it a little. Wouldn't recommend doing this too much, but this will help cool it. Let's take a look here. Yeah, it looks like it's stuck down much better. And see, since we're layering, you're going to do multiple layers and multiple presses, so you don't want to overdo it either. You don't want it to start warping, but you got to make sure it is stuck down. All right, so it's cool. Now, the most important part about especially vinyl and doing this is going slow. Kind of let gravity do the pulling. Don't pull too fast, too hard, because you want to pay attention that no places are pulling up. Because if they are, you just lay it back down and repress for like 10 to 15 seconds. And then let cool. And pull very slowly here. You can see my two here kind of come up, but it's okay. We can fix that. Like I said, you just got to pay attention. If a big area is pulling up, we'll just repress. But I've seen some people just rip this off, and that's not a good thing. Okay. So you can either save this to repress over it if you want to, but I wouldn't really recommend that. I recommend you getting the Cricut sheet here that protects it all. Okay, so what I'm talking about here with the two, if you can see here, it is loose. See, look at that. Hopefully you can pick it up on the camera. But it's such a small area, I knew it would be okay. We're going to repress this anyways, so it's fine. So now the next layer is the fire, and this is where you got to line everything up. Okay. And this is where the Cricut press sheet comes into play, because it's going to protect the rest of the items as we're pressing that. All right, you can immediately take this off. And we'll let this cool down now. Okay, so now it's cool. And you might ask why I turn this over and do it on the back side like Cricut suggested, which we will. But now that we're layering, I always do the first layer like that. But now we're layering, we don't want to get too much heat because then you'll scorch the first layer, and you don't want that to happen. So I try to use as minimal amount of heat for each layer. Then we will go back over. But if we have to, if this starts pulling up, we will stop and relayer it. But so far, it seems to be doing just fine. Okay. Now, another way how you can tell this is not done yet either, and to find out how well your vinyl has stuck down, as you can, especially like canvas bags are very coarse. As you can see here, it's very smooth. You don't see any of the threads coming through, which you should. So I want to show you what it looks like before, and I want to show you how we do that here. We still got several more presses to go. So now for the final one though, which for the gray bag I could leave it like this, but for the sake of the video I'm going to do it like with this since we cut it. You just line it up. Okay, put your protection sheet back on it and do the same thing again. Alright, now we're going to let this cool completely again, and then I'm going to show you how I, like I was talking about, will make this all fit in there really well and stay down. Okay, so for the final peel, and we didn't get it quite lined up here, which is totally fine. I'm cool with that. Kind of give it a little 3D effect here. Okay, so as I was mentioning though, see it's so smooth. You can kind of see here, but you need it all to look like that. And another thing I also want to point out, so this is folded in. So there's a crease right here on this too, which is where, remember how it pulled up a little bit? So I'm going to pull that out like this. So we'll get a good even pressure, you know, of pressing that right there. It really is all about even pressure. That's the most important thing when it comes to heat transfer vinyl. I mean, besides the heat, of course, but even, you know, even steady pressure is really a must. So we're going to put this back on here, covering the whole thing. Now, since we've got everything pressed and everything, I like to actually add some pretty good pressure. That's just me. So we'll do it again. And this is very close to how I like it, but we do need to do one more press from the back, because like I said, Cricut recommends that, and it's what you really should do. Okay guys, so I'm going to let it completely cool. Do this a little bit. As you can see here, you can see the fibers coming through the vinyl now. That's what you want. You want to be able to see that the fibers coming through. If you don't see that, then you don't have it pressed down well enough and you run the risk of it peeling up. So that's what I recommend. Everyone has their own techniques, but this is just how I've done it. I'm not saying I'm no expert by no means, but I have done several heat transfer presses, and this seems to be work the best to make it last the longest, especially with shirts. With the tote bags, it should last a really long time because you're not really washing these that often. But doing multiple presses, and then at the end, when you've got everything done, I like to add some good pressure. Now, don't add all your body weight on it because I don't want you breaking your easy press, but I do add some pretty good pressure on top of it to get that effect, because you really want that, because when you rub your hands over it now, I can't feel it. I can't feel that vinyl. There's no, edges to it and anything. It literally feels like it's part of the fabric, which is what you want. Alright, so if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Also, check out my description. Remember, join my Facebook group and you'll get this file. And also, check out the friends I like to help support. And as always, you guys, thank you for being here, and see you in the next video. Bye!